Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Success Insight podcast. Today's episode is another in our Side Hustle Saturday series. Now, many of us have part-time and full-time jobs that we go to each week, but there are some individuals who are undertaking another type of pursuit to earn money outside of their day job. Broadly speaking, this is what we call a side hustle. With that context in mind, it's a pleasure to introduce you to Alexandrea Fokken. Alex is a medical assistant working on her RN, and she works anywhere between 40 and 46 hours a week. Oh my God. Her area of focus is general medicine, OBGYN, and pediatrics. And I'm like wondering, how does she even have time for anything besides that? So, Alex, welcome to the Success Insight podcast and the Side Hustle Saturday series.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
So, you are a medical assistant, and then you decided you're going to make the jump into the world of being an RN. I mean, RNs are like goddesses and gods today just because of COVID this past year. And what made you decide to get into the medical world, medical assistants, and now becoming an RN?
Well, to tell you the truth, I started going into medicine back in high school. I wanted to be a doctor, and I took a class that was offered to us back in high school that would allow you to get your RN, but it would be your associate's RN, not your bachelor's, when you graduated high school. And needless to say, by the end of it, we did rotations, and I saw someone pass away, and it completely just destroyed me. But then I decided later on in life that I needed to continue on my medicine route, and I decided to become a medical assistant because it was something easy. And then now I want to become an RN.
What is the driving force about being an RN? I mean, it's wonderful work, no doubt about that, but the hours are horrendous. Lots of pressure. I mean, this past year, lots of pressure, even more so. And I think it takes a special kind of individual to be an RN, to go down that path. What was the driving force for you?
I just want to help people. I want to make sure everyone is healthy and they have someone to talk to, or even just to be able to lean on. It's just been my goal. I just would like to help people.
Fantastic. Since this is Side Hustle Saturday series, Alex, would you share with our listeners, what's your side hustle?
Well, I decided during COVID that I wanted to be an author. So I came out with my first picture book, which is Harrison's Hairy Problem.
Picture book, Harrison's Hairy Problem. And, you know, it's interesting, like with COVID, I'm doing car camping these days out here in Las Vegas, which is fun. And so there's a lot of people going off and doing things they've always wanted to do, because in some ways we have more time. But what was this inkling, this burning desire, I want to write a book, and why the children's book?
Well, I have a little girl, and she just turned 17 months yesterday. She has this elephant rocking horse, and he is a hairy rocking horse. And I kept asking her, what are we going to name this rocking horse? And she's like, she's not talking to me. She just kind of stares at me like, whatever, Mom. It just came to me like, elephants aren't supposed to be hairy. And it just kind of went on from there about an elephant that doesn't want to be hairy. He wants to be like all the other elephants.
Excellent. So Harrison's Hairy Problem. Obviously this is a children's book. What's the age range for this particular book?
It is from 3 to 8, but I've been getting told that a lot of people, any age, should read it just because it has a good story behind it that everyone should know and learn.
As long as we have been producing Success Insight podcasts, we have had a lot of children's book authors on our show. And for myself, besides a podcast host and producer, I also am a coach, leadership development, career transition, career development. And I have noticed so many children's books ought to also be read by adults, because in some ways I think they could use them more than the children themselves. And what was the premise of the book? And so he's got a hairy problem. And so tell us a little bit more about the story.
Well, it's about an elephant named Harrison, and he has a hairy problem. He's hairy, and he wants to be like all the other elephants, which are hairless. So the story is basically telling you it's okay to be different. You don't have to be the same, and everyone is different in their own unique ways.
Okay. And now that the book has been published, I imagine you've read it to your little one, and what does she think about it?
She kind of just stares at it. She's not very verbal, but she seems to be one of her favorites. She likes how colorful it is.
Very good. And speaking of colorful, with so many children's books, there are the illustrations that go along with it. How did you go about finding an illustrator to work with? What was that experience like?
Well, I'm actually the illustrator. So,
oh my God, you have two side hustles here.
Yeah, I actually decided that I wanted to be the person that drew the pictures and everything because I just love to do art. It's one of my relaxers. It allowed me to relax during a stressful time.
Okay. Now, when we were getting started today with the podcast, I know there was an older gentleman, not older like me, but another adult in the room. What does he think of, oh my God, my wife is an author, published author? What's he say?
He was actually a big influencer of Harrison. We were debating ideas about how things are going to go and everything. He actually was my editor of my book and everything. So he was a big help and put his hand in it. It's the best way to say it.
Okay. So eventually we're going to be able to go out and not have to wear masks, not have to be socially distanced. How is he going to introduce you? Is this going to be here's my wife, Alex, or my wife, the author?
Probably the same way he's always introduced me. This is my wife, Alex, or this is my wife.
All right. So with the authoring of the book, what were some of the lessons you learned about this authoring process and also, kind of coordinating the text with the diagrams?
Formatting is a lot harder than it looks. It took me a long, long time to figure out how to do it. A lot of research and a lot of YouTube videos. And if I had to give anyone advice, try to get on those Facebook groups because there are a lot of people that are out there to help you.
Okay. And you and I met via the Children's Book and Illustrators Facebook group. So certainly can appreciate they're bringing a lot of like-minded folks around. Now, let's talk about side hustle. We want to make a little bit of money at this, hopefully, or at least cover our costs. And do you see any other elements to the story, to the book? Are you going to write some more books? And are you going to continue down this path of not only being a future RN, but also being an accomplished children's book author and illustrator?
My goal is to have another one. I'm actually currently working on my next one. I've wrote 3 other books that I'm hoping to be out by the end of next year. But my next one, I'm hoping to be out soon, probably, hopefully January. I know I'm saying hopefully a lot, but that's just the hopes right now. There's so much going on.
Frankly, Alex, we need to have hope in this day and age. What did you learn about yourself being now a children's book author, going down this path? What was some of the insights you've learned?
I learned that a lot of the reviewers are what really keeps me going. I've never realized how much impact I get from somebody that could just tell me, hey, I really enjoyed your book, or you did a great job on this and it really helped me. It really impacted my life and made me want to continue doing it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking at your author page on Amazon, 27 reviews. That's pretty good. And I imagine there's a lot of others perhaps that are not even on the site. So you're going to be authoring another couple books. Are these going to be children's books as well?
Yes, they will be.
Okay. And how are you marketing and doing any public relations for these books?
Currently, it's just mostly social media just because I work in pediatrics and everything, but I don't really want to bring in too much of my home life into other people. So usually it's mostly like Instagram or Facebook or other areas like that to say, hey, I have a book.
Excellent. And you do have a website.
Mm-hmm. That is www.alexandreasbooks.com, and that's ALEXANDREASBOOKS.
Fantastic.
There is another Alexandrea's book, so try to make sure that you spell Alexandria right to get to the right place.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll definitely provide a backlink to your author's page on our show notes as well as to the links to your book on Amazon. Now, I notice on your website you have a stay in touch. What's your hope when people reach out to you to stay in touch? You have a desire for what that could look like for you?
I really just want to see people drawing Harrison the way they want to draw them. It's just been my dream. I really like to draw, so I always want to see how other people interpret my own artwork.
Now, is there a nice little plush doll for other aspiring readers or your daughter of Harrison?
Hopefully soon, not quite yet. I'm hoping to make back all the money that I spent on Harrison before I continue on with other extreme purchases.
Fantastic. So, kind of looking back now, any other lessons learned that you would like to share with our audience about this journey and this really growing side hustle of yours? I mean, you got one book, you're going to have a couple more, hopefully in 2021. And any other insights you'd like to share with our audience?
Just keep on smiling. Something great's going to happen. The best thing to do is just keep on chugging along.
Fantastic. Alex, we really appreciate you joining us on a Success Insight podcast. And it's really very cool to hear that this story, this idea kind of sparked from you having a conversation with your daughter and her toys and the like. And that's kind of neat to hear. And so we certainly wish you the best of whatever comes your way as a author and illustrator, and we look forward to hearing about your future successes. And hey, you can even come on to the podcast and talk about some of the other books that you're authoring as well. So thank you so much for joining us on Side Hustle Saturday. And you're actually number 2 in the series. So we're looking forward to perhaps having some other authors, illustrators, and other kinds of side hustles out there. So thank you so much for spending part of your day with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. All right, folks, we have just been chatting with Alexandrea Fokken. She is the author of Harrison's Hairy Problem, a children's book. And this was published in this past September, 2020. And this, as an author, illustrator, this is Alex's side hustle and her full-time job. She's a medical assistant, currently working her way through school to become an RN. What a fantastic career and the difference she's making of helping people who are in need and perhaps struggling, suffering through her medical work, but also the fact that she has set out to be, during this time of COVID-19, to become a children's book author. And as we also learned, she's also the illustrator, so multi-talented there. We hope you enjoyed today's edition of Side Hustle Saturday. We're looking forward to having more episodes in the coming weeks, so do check us out. You can find this episode. It will be on the Success Insight Podcast webpage, as well as on our Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter pages as well. And you can listen to this episode with Alex on all of the major podcast channels: iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And also, we are also on YouTube as well, Success Insight Podcast. All right, folks, there you go. Again, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Side Hustle Saturday, and we'll see you again in the future. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a fantastic day, and take care of yourselves, take care of your family, wear the mask, practice social distancing, and we'll hopefully have a fantastic 2021. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.